I'm going to talk about Baccarat, and let's focus on the draw and how the draws work. The way Baccarat works is there's two sides. There's a player and a banker. They both start with 2 cards, and depending on the draws, they either get a 3rd card or not. And the goal is to get closest to 9. And when you go over, let's say I have a 7 and a 4, that's 1. You think of it as 11 if you're a normal blackjack player, but it's always the 1's value that you're looking at. All right. Once you memorize the draws, then the game is really easy and straightforward. It does take some time to kind of memorize some of the draws. So when you get your cards, you're going to deal them out, 1 for the player, 1 for the bank, and they alternate like this. Now, what I train my dealers to do is just put your thumbs together, and it's like you're opening up a book. Okay, flip over your hand, push in, just like that. The first thing that I want to say is if either side has a total of 8 or 9, that's it. Nobody's going to get any cards. All right, it's called the natural. So player has a natural 8. No draw, bank shows 0. Player wins, natural 8 over 0. All right, so 8 or 9, any side. It doesn't matter. Nobody's getting any of the cards after that. Whoever's closest to 9 wins. Okay.
I'll pause right there. And this is not my video. This is from Racino Daily Jays, and they're a pretty good channel. But anyway, I'm gonna make a little series of videos of things that have helped me become a better baccarat player. And by doing so, I'm gonna make little videos and explain why I think each one is important. Like the first one is where did baccarat came from. It's nice to know where it came from, the elegance of it, and that aspect of it, and its culture. And then you got to know how to play the game, and then it's very important to know how to deal the game. So all these little videos are going to be just little key points that's helped me become a better player, and hopefully you can take something from them and get on the same track.
So let's do another hand here. Okay. Player shows 1, bank shows natural 9. No draw, bank wins 9 over 1. Automatic, 8 or 9. No cards drawn. Okay. All right. Player shows natural 8, no draw. Bank shows 8, 8, 8, tie. That's it. Tie gets 8 to 1 if you're betting on the tie. If you bet player or banker, you don't win, you don't lose. All right, not in this example. All right, so that's the first tip that I like to tell you. The second one is if both sides have 6-6 or higher, nobody's getting any cards. This player side is always going to stand on 6 or higher, and then 5 or less they may draw unless the banker has an 8 or a 9. Okay, but anyways, 6-6 or higher, nobody takes any cards. Okay, player shows 6 and stands. Bank shows 6. This is a 6-6 tie. 6-6, no cards. Tie gets 8 to 1. Okay, another example. Player shows 6 and stands. Bank shows 7. That's it. Bank wins 7 over 6. No cards. All right. Player shows 7 and stands. Bank shows 6. Player wins 7 over 6. Okay, easy roll. 6-6 or higher. Nobody takes any cards. All right. Okay, the next tip, the player won't ever take a 3rd card when they have 6 or higher. Okay, so player shows 6 and stands. Player shows 7 and stands. Player has a natural 8. They're not taking cards. Player has a natural 9, like I said. That's it. Game over. So player shows 6 and stands. Bank shows 4. Okay, because it's not 6-6. The banker is actually going to take a 3rd card. Now, 3rd card is perpendicular, and it's placed right here. Okay. Now, at this point, whoever's closest to 9 wins. So you can see I have 3 aces, a 4 and a 10. That's 14. So banker has 4. Player has a face and a 6. Remember, faces are like 0. Because this is 16, you're only looking at the 1's value. So player wins 6 over 4. Okay. All right. Player shows 7 and stands. Bank shows 0. Again, just like the 6. The player stands on 6 or higher. The banker, they don't have 6, so they're going to draw a third card. So card bank, 7 to beat. Player wins 7 over 3. All right. All right, so let's see what the player has here. 6 or higher, they're going to stand. 5 or less, they're going to draw a card unless the banker has 8 or 9. All right, so player shows 4. All right, so the player is supposed to draw unless this is an 8 or 9. So the next tip I'm going to tell you is if the banker has 7 or higher, they're not going to take any cards. So the banker stands on 7, banker gets natural 8 or 9, the game is over. All right, so player shows 4, bank shows 7, so bank stands. In this example, the player is going to take a third card, and whoever's closest to 9 wins. So card player, 7 to beat. Banker wins 7 over 4. So the banker wins. Let's go again. Player shows 4. Banker shows 7 and stands. So card player, 7 to beat, same example. Player wins 9 over 7. Right. Okay. I think we're on our next example here. All right. So this next tip, if both sides have 2-2 or less, they're both getting a third card. Okay. This is a common one. Player shows 0, bank shows 0. All right. They both have 2-2 or less. They're both taking a third card because they're low. So at this point, card each, card player, card bank. Whoever's closest to 9 wins. Now the banker has a 4, so banker wins 4 over 3. All right, that's card each rule. 2-2 or less. Now really, it's because the player, if the player has less than 6, right? Because they're going to draw a third card. And then if the banker has 2 or less, they're definitely drawing a card as well. So that's the card each rule. It actually is 5 or less and then 2 or less. But I always teach you 2-2 first because it's easier to remember that. 2-2, 1-1, 0-0. Any of those low ones, it's easy to know that they're both low, so they're both going to take a card at the same time. All right. Okay. Player shows 0, bank shows 1. Again, 2-2 or less, they both take a card. Card each, card player. Card bank, 9 to tie. You can't beat 9. All right, player wins 9 over 7. All right, so player wins that hand. Okay, one more example of card each. All right, player shows 5. Remember, they're going to draw unless it's 8 or 9. Bank shows 0, so they both draw card each, card player. Okay, card bank, 8 to beat. 8-8 tie. All right, tie pays 8-1. And now there's 4 rules here that you need to learn. This is probably the most important ones because there's 2 outcomes depending on what the player's draw card is going to be. The player's always going to draw a third card in these next examples. All right, so player shows 5, bank shows 3. So for the bank rule, this third card that the player is going to get, if it's anything but an 8, the banker's going to draw a third card. Right, this one's an outlier compared to the other ones. It doesn't really tie in. But anyways, player needs to draw first. And when the banker has a 3, a 2-card total of 3, if this is an 8, the game's over. If it's anything else but an 8, the banker's going to draw a third card. All right, so this card is not an 8. So automatically the banker's going to take a third card. So card bank, 5 to beat. Player wins 5 over 4. Okay, let's do that example again. Player shows 0 and bank shows 3. Again, the player's third card, if it's an 8, the game's over. Card player, that's it. Okay, so whoever's closest to 9 wins. So the player wins 8 over 3 in this example. That's a panda 8. If you know what that side bet is, we'll talk about that some other time.
I'm a pause it right there. Y'all get the hint. It's very important to know how to deal the game. It does two things. One, you need to make sure that the dealer is doing her job right, and you don't get juked if they're playing with a shoe without the smart shoe. And two, if you know how to deal the game, you can play at the house and practice, and you know enjoy the game. It is a peaceful, relaxful game. So that's another tip that's helped me become a better player. Is that I actually learned how to deal the game to where I could practice at the house with my 8 deck of shoes and the whole 9 yards without relying on a computer or somebody else's simulation or what the results were. It's just better to know that I've dealt the game in front of me and the results are what they are. But anyway, learn how to deal the game. It's very important. All right, y'all. Till next time, enjoy, have fun. See you on the felt.